Hey guys, welcome to Wrench to Drive, WPL C44KM edition. Alright guys, as you know, if you watch the channel, I like a kit. This is an awesome kit for the money, guys. For the money. It is not perfect. It's pretty good, guys. It's pretty good. It's got a really nice body shell, guys. I'm doing mine up as a beater. Do yours as you will. Mine, all painted up. I want it to look all rough and tumble, guys. So as many beaters go, they have parts scabbed on from parts out of the wreckers, guys. So I went with a totally different door and a totally different side panel. Got this back rack. The implication being it got whacked on the side and it needed some fixing. It's got the old fresh shiny new hood all primered up and never got painted. And it's looking like it's taken a little bit of wear and tear here and there, guys. Let's see what else. Interior. I went with this. This is actually a slightly tinted orange, white for the accents, guys, and then black knobs, which most of the old FJ45 seem to have. Not too bad, guys. Keep in mind, I want to weather this significantly, so pretty much everything on this is going to look beat up and worn out by the time I'm done, guys. I'm going to do the seat a different color on the driver's side there, because we all know in the old vehicles, the driver's side seat always gets torn up, so figure that'll be pretty neat. My only knock, really, of the look and feel, I don't like these door panels that much, guys. They where they fit on, you got these posts that look kind of cheesy, and I don't know, these don't have a very period feel to me, guys. They're okay, I guess, but they don't look super realistic to me, guys. So that's a small criticism. Mine showed up in really good shape. The windshield has this crack in it that you can see there, guys, which I actually don't mind, because again, I want mine to look like a beater. So this, for my purposes, that actually worked out really well, guys. That to me, that looks very authentic. And of course, if you know anything about cracks in windshields, they always seem to show up right in the driver's line of sight. So you know, there you go. The inside of the hood you've probably all seen from other videos, but there it is. I don't know if I'm going to do much to that, guys. There's not a whole lot of point. Battery goes there. Still got the wipers to put on and the side mirrors. I'm going to do a little work on the grille. I think the grill is going to be the only nice thing on this truck, guys. As you know, if you have ever had a beater, there's always something on it that's really nice and pristine that doesn't really fit in with the whole beater scenario. Every crappy old truck's got something good on it, and I think this one it's going to be the grill, guys. But we'll see. So I'm going to do lots of weathering, guys, and I'm going to try and get do some trickle effect where you dribble a little bit of watered down paint and it pools, and I'm hoping it'll pool just like real rust, guys, and I'm going to play around with that a little bit and see how it turns out. Lots and lots of layers, guys, lots and lots of drips to get a realistic rust effect. That's my goal, guys. Now, as you can see probably from this angle, I painted this several different ways. I airbrushed a bunch of it with this one color of orange. And then I used a slightly different color of orange and brushed it in other areas because I wanted this to look really old and worn out, and I wanted the paint to show the weathering, the sun taking a toll on some of it. And we'll see how well that turns out when it's all done, guys. So far, not too bad, not quite what I was going for, but yeah, we'll see. Now, what do you need to pay attention to if you're painting this, guys? That's what I'm going to start with here. I'm going to go through, I guess, body defects. There's not really a lot, guys. This body's pretty good. I'm going to go through what you need to pay attention to if you're painting this. If you're not going with just plastic, you're not just sticking it together, you're actually going to paint it, guys, because there's a few things you need to pay attention to. And then I'll go on to the mechanicals. There's a few things you need to pay attention to there, guys. Overall, this is a really good kit. Biggest downside probably is that the instructions are a little bit lacking. They're not bad. The pictures are pretty indicative of what you have to do, guys. But if you've never built one of these types of models before, guys, take your time, test fit, fart around with it a little bit. Don't be in a hurry. This is actually a fairly complicated model compared to the early FPL or the earlier WPL models, guys. It's really good though, and it'll turn out really nice if you take your time. Alright, so painting. What do you need to pay attention to? These side panels are super tight, okay? And I think without paint, they're probably not super tight. What you need to do is you need to do a little bit of smoothing around the edges, so that when you paint it, it'll still fit, guys. As you can see, the hinges very snug, guys. I ground off a little paint there, opening and closing the door, right? So pay attention to that. You're going to need to do a little bit of massaging to it if you don't want your paint to come off when you start opening and closing the doors, guys. If you don't want to do any of that, make sure it fits, and don't open and close your doors, right? Because it will do a little bit of wear and tear there, guys. Both sides, as you can see. I did not take that into account, and I am now paying the price, guys. And I'm not super upset because I wanted this to look worn out and battered and bruised and blah blah blah, right? And on this side, as you can see, I scuffed a little paint off there because super tight, guys. And I didn't think I went real heavy on the paint, and these are really tight, really hard to get in there, guys. So that was a bit of a mistake on my part. I'm trying to think. Interior wise, everything went together really nice on the interior, guys. My hand is not as steady as it used to be, so some of that interior detailing could be a little bit better. It is what it is. Let's see here. These seats do slide back and forth, guys. Try and show you here. They slide back and forth, which is kind of neat. It's kind of a little bit of detail that you don't necessarily expect. But when they do, I don't know if you can see that, I chipped the paint a little bit down there, guys. Not the end of the world. You're really not going to see that much, but something to take into account. If you're painting it, it's a little dodgy, guys. This body shell, the paint doesn't stick super well, and if you start scuffing it too much, you're going to have trouble getting a smooth finish. So it's a bit of an adventure, guys. The hood is a real snug fit, guys, and where you need to pay attention is this lip, guys. Okay, so when I first test fitted it, I didn't take that into account enough, and I've scuffed off the paint off of the body hinges here a couple of times, and as you can see inside, a little bit of damage along there, guys. Now the solution, you just sand along the edge of the hood and give it a little bit of a bevel, right, the inside of the hood, to give a little more room. You take a little bit of meat off the edge of the hood, guys. It's a real snug fit. And let's see here, let's try and get a good angle. As you can see, I've touched it up a little bit with a brush. It stands out in that light pretty vigorously, right? You can see it's really tight there, guys. I have already ground this down a little bit, so you can imagine that before I ground it down a little bit, it was much tighter. So if you take a file or a rotary tool or something, and you just real gently grind that down and test fit it, and work it until you got a nice fit and it's all smooth, guys. Because like before, this would be like tick, 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 like it was touching and grinding, right? So pay attention to that. You gotta pay attention to that there, guys. Now I don't know if you can see under the hood there. Yeah, you should be able to see that big crack, that big gap. I didn't do anything to fix mine. Mine came with a pretty good gap there, as you can see, right? And this hood folds down pretty sweet. But that gap is a little bit big. If you're real anal retentive and you want a really nice fit, you might want to actually build that up a little bit, sand it down, do a little farting around to get a really nice fit, guys. I am definitely not that anal retentive. Even if I was going for a super nice finish, I don't think I would bother. Overall, it fits pretty well. Pay attention to the hinges. It's a little bit tricky to get that paint not to chip a little bit on there, guys, with this, because again, I was not going for perfection. All I did was once I had it put together and a little bit of paint had scuffed off from using it, I just dabbed a little on with a brush, and it's holding up pretty well. As you can see, not a lot of sign of damage there, but putting it together, it was a little tricky to not get any chip paint on the hinges there. Putting this together, not super difficult, but where the body slots into the running board there, see that keyway? It slots in there. Be careful if you paint your running boards. And I didn't really intend for this to be this way. Anyways, I think I'm going to peel this paint off. It comes off fairly easily. And leave this black. But if you're painting it, when you're putting this together, that's a bit of a spot where you're going to get some wear and tear. It's a little bit tricky. I got to touch up the interior a little bit here. I got a little frisky with the orange. I thought that firewall was going to show up at first, and obviously it doesn't, because this piece is in the way. Let's see here. I just used a little flat black in the fender wells and on the bottom of the bed, actually on the top of the bed too, to take the shine off. This black plastic is really shiny. Oh, there you go. You can see I missed a spot back here, guys. Easy to touch up after the fact, so not too big of a deal, guys. But it's real shiny stock. Doesn't look very authentic. Yeah, a little flat black looks a lot better. As you can see in here, really shiny. I haven't done anything to it yet. Yeah, overall this goes together really well, guys. So that's the body. Pretty painless. Need to do a little massaging if you're going to paint it, guys. If you're not going to paint it, it's not that big of a deal. You might just want to do a little bit of massaging so that everything is smooth. No, no obnoxious grinding noises when you put things together and take things apart. Oh, the other thing, if you're painting, pay attention to the steering wheel hole and the gear shifter hole. When they get a little full of paint, bit of an adventure putting those together after the fact. And as you can maybe see on the column there, I did chip the paint a little bit. So, oops, let's try and get a better angle. Yeah, you can see in there, guys, the paint on the column is chipped slightly. I wanted that to actually be finished, but oops, what are you going to do? Yeah, so there you go. Overall, the quality of this is really good, guys. It's quite easy to put together. If you don't paint it, this is a piece of cake, guys. The most work by far is putting the boards, the wooden boards on the back bed, guys. Looks really good. Got a really realistic feel to it, guys. I really like that aspect of this kit. All right, so there's the body. Not too difficult, guys. Not too difficult. The mechanical on this is a little bit more tricky than the older models, but it's not bad at all, guys. So this is where this model really shines, because it comes with the full metal axles, axle internals, stub shafts. Really nice quality, guys. Metal links. It's excellent. Metal balls, brass balls. You can see they're big brass balls, guys. Oh, big cojones. Look at that, guys. As expected, probably, the transmission is a plastic gear transmission. You can see those white plastic gears in there, guys. Probably to be expected. But, surprise, surprise, look at that Metal Gear servo, guys. Yeah, pretty sweet. So this servo should hold up real well. That's a really nice surprise there, guys. So first impressions of this kit is, this is a really sweet kit. So there's your axles, metal, very nice quality. Your drive shafts, your assorted bearings, axle shafts, I should say, shock shafts and linkage shafts. Nice brass looking gears there. There you got your metal ball ends. Really nice touch, guys. Look at that. That, guys, is a tube of Loctite. It comes with Loctite. Where I live, Loctite's not the cheapest thing around. The fact that they threw some in, that's pretty sweet, guys. That is, and that's not a nothing amount. That's enough to for sure build this kit, guys. Here's your grease. Where's the tools? It comes with some tools, guys. There they are. It comes with a couple of Allen wrenches, guys, so that's nice. You don't have to buy those. You're gonna need a hobby knife right there. You're gonna need a Phillips screwdriver, guys. If you want to do any poking around, you might need a smaller head one, like I've got going on right there. If you're just doing the stock build, I think this bigger one, I think it's a number 2, will probably do the job. So Phillips screwdriver, hobby knife, fancy Allen wrenches if you really want to get crazy, but I would say you probably don't need them. Comes with Loctite, comes with grease. Impressive kit, guys. I'm really impressed. So I'm going to put this servo back together and this transmission back together and carry on. Alright, now straight to the problems. I only had a couple, nothing too serious. So, I'll try and get a good angle on this. See the panhard mount right there, guys? See how it's not nice and black, it's got some white? There, that is the panhard bar mount there. The hole, it's stressed because when I was threading in this ball, apparently I was not careful enough. I thought I was being careful, guys. Apparently I was not careful enough, and this is definitely stressed. I want to put a little hot glue on there, maybe, I don't know. I want to beef that up a little bit to try and avoid it actually breaking, because it's for sure damaged, guys. I think you can see fairly clearly there. Like, there is some damage there, guys. It's stretched quite noticeably, guys, so that's not a good thing. Okay, I was not careful enough. Now, another spot where you can see what those balls do, right there, the other end of the panhard mount, right? You can see that one came through really nice, no stress, everything's good, right? Generally not that difficult. You got to pay attention though, right, guys? Okay, one small criticism, these screws right here, guys, these are M2.5 screws, and I use these because the kit, I don't know, I could not find any that, the ones I found were a little bit on the short side. Could have Loctited them, they probably would have worked just fine. I used these because I had them and they were a little bit longer, and they, just a little more positive feeling, you know, in terms of putting it together, guys, because there is a little bit of stress on the steering if you're crawling around, you know, if you're driving this thing and crawling. One thing worth noting, guys, is that these are M2.5 screws, so the shaft is roughly 2.5 millimeters in diameter, and the ball hole is M3, so it's a little bit loose. But as you can see, no play there, guys, and the reason is that the screw is tight and it's holding that ball in place. So all the movement is actually from the plastic knuckle around the ball instead of the ball pivoting on the screw, guys. So, and then normally that screw should be M3, guys, but it is not. Probably because an M3 hole in that arm would be a little bit big, guys. Hard to say. Anyways, it is what it is. Small thing, really not a major criticism, just something to note. Another thing, guys, getting the steering working. I used a spare ball that they gave. There's lots of spare parts in this kit, guys. There's, I found there was a spare part of almost everything critical, so you really shouldn't have a problem parts-wise. So I used an extra ball to lift up the steering link here, guys, just a little bit, because it gave me a better steering angle, so that without it, the steering to one side is significantly less than steering to the other. So that's just a little tweak on my part. I played around with it quite a bit because I wasn't 100% sure how it was supposed to go together from the drawings, and that's the best I could do for now. I might fart around with it a little bit more. Another thing, guys, I used this screw up here, attaching it to the servo horn, because the screws it came with, I could not find one that worked really well, guys. Again, my patience was somewhat limited because I have lots of spare parts. Yeah, just so you know, might be a bit of an adventure. Again, that's an M2.5 screw, that's an M3 hole in the ball, guys. So, but as you can see, there's no play there. Works well. Alright. Small criticisms, obviously. I used a couple of little plastic pieces. So this is just like a rectangle piece of plastic with a little triangular notch cut in it, so that these screws hold the servo in nice and solid, guys. I'm not sure what the intent is for anchoring this servo. That was something that wasn't quite clear, or maybe I didn't look hard enough. But anyways, that works well. Seems to be latched in there real good. Okay, what else? Oh, the only thing you have to do to get these axles adjusted properly, guys, the kit comes with some paper shims, which are really nice, guys. It's a really nice touch. All you do is you put some shims in between the output and the axle, guys, and you space this so that you get a nice smooth gear mesh between the ring and pinion gears, guys, and you can hear the difference. And I actually did not notice that it came with those shims, guys, and I knew it needed it. I just put it together the way it was. It's a little grindy in mine, and I was gonna just ignore it because I was lazy and I didn't see those shims right off the get-go, guys. But I am gonna crack it open and put those in now that I know they're there, and fix that so it's nice and smooth, guys. The axles are actually really nice quality, and those shims let you adjust the gear mesh, so it's just perfect, guys. These drive shafts are also really nice quality. You got to put them together. It's probably the trickiest part on this build, guys, and it's not that difficult. It takes a little bit of patience, but getting those little tiny pins into the little tiny holes to hold the axle together is a bit of an adventure. I think that's probably the only parts that there were no spares of, guys. Came with a bunch of spare grub screws. And one thing to note with these grub screws, guys, the reason it comes with spares, I think, is because some of them are poor quality. They actually don't have any threads on them. So look at those grub screws very carefully and make sure you're using one that actually has threads on it, right? And these links work really nicely. So pay attention to that. The transmission, guys, is a plastic gear transmission. I decided to use the metal gear transmission out of my C24 pickup truck because I figured this is a bigger rig. The metal gears would probably work better in this bad boy than in that little lightweight pickup truck. What else? That's about it, guys. Really easy to put together. Definitely not a difficult chassis to assemble, just kind of tedious. You got to put together all the links, guys. You got to snap them balls in, and yeah, it's a little more tedious than the old kits because the old kits had fixed links, so there was no screwing the ends on, guys. But obviously vastly superior. Quality is really good. I'm running a 40 amp crawler ESC. Gives you way better crawling control, guys. Totally worth it in my opinion. Pro tip. I've got a Dean's connector and a JST connector on this so that I can run whatever battery pack I want. In this scenario, it's not ideal because the battery pack goes up here, and running both connectors into there is a bit of an adventure. The Dean's does not fit through the hole. You'd have to make the hole a little bit bigger. But if you have need of running multiple batteries or see that in your future, guys, it's not a big deal. Just remember to cover up the end of the loose Dean's connector if you go that route, guys. Blah blah blah. These transmissions work really nice, guys. They're not super difficult to set up. Oops, I left it in gear. Probably don't want to do that, guys, because it compresses that spring. You want to leave it not engaged. Something you need to pay attention to. The way my radio is set up, basically every time you turn off the radio, you got to make sure you switch gears. Because I tend to drive around in low gear quite a bit. What else? Anything else? Oh, these wheels and tires, guys. That's the other problem I had. So the reason I'm using these, the main reason, they look kind of cool, but the main reason is that the wheels that came with this kit, guys, they're super tight on the outputs, guys. One of them is really good. The other four are terrible. Absolutely terrible, guys. And I was trying to figure out an easy way to get them to fit, and I think the easiest way is to grind on the outputs, guys, but you don't want to do that because, as I checked, I have other kits, so I checked these wheels and tires. They fit perfectly. The wheels and tires off of the old WPL truck fit perfectly. So those wheels are a little tight, guys, and actually what I'm kind of thinking is I might warm up the axle a little bit and try pressing that wheel on, but I'm reluctant because I think it's going to do damage to the plastic wheel. It's going to be tricky to get just enough heat to stretch it, not enough heat to actually destroy it, guys. So I've been procrastinating on that a little bit. So that's the only real downside to this kit, guys. That's the only parts that I'm legit having a problem with because, guys, they're so tight. I put one on and kind of pressed vigorously, and I regretted it almost immediately because getting it off was like, holy crap, is that ever tight? You know, I really had to reef on it. It was an adventure, guys. So that's the only real problem. 4 out of 5 wheels that came with the kit, super tight, guys. These fit beautifully. Like I could show you, but it's kind of pointless. Like you take out the screw, the wheel comes right off, guys. It fits perfectly. The ones that came with it, very, very, very tight, guys. So. And then once I put these on and tried it with the body, guys, it looks really sharp. So I kind of decided I wanted to run these anyways. For what it's worth, guys, if you're looking at buying some of these, they're about 15 bucks for a set right now, Canadian. I think that's a little pricey because these are quite stiff, guys. They're not the best quality, and for whatever reason, I got these insanely cheap when I got them, and that 15 bucks is a little on the steep side, guys. I don't know. It's up to you. just note that the rubber, I mean, that looks like they're pretty spongy, guys, but they're not. Like if you rest this on something like you have to push down on these really hard. Like they don't have a real authentic feel. Like see how hard you got to push down on there, guys. Like this truck does not have nearly enough weight to actually make these flex at all, guys, which the stock wheels are definitely nicer in terms of realism, guys. Now these, for my purposes, on a beater truck that, you know, I'm kind of thinking it's a beater truck that some kid got his grubby little paws on. You know, some kid that got a nice set of big fat tires and mag wheels, guys. Of course he's going to put them on there. So I kind of like this. I kind of like how this worked out. So I'm going to keep it the way it is for now. Yeah, there you go. I think that's everything, guys. This kit is really good for the money, guys. Just for reference, a set of metal axles with internals, links, two-speed transmission, that's going to cost you probably $80 Canadian, something like that. This whole kit was $105. Smoking good deal, guys. Smoking good deal. You can't go wrong. Now, that being said, is it perfect? It's probably not quite perfect, guys. There's, you know, little fit issues here and there. You know, there's bits and bobs that could be better quality. You know, mine was missing door handles. Wheels don't fit perfectly. Like there, you know, it's definitely not perfect, guys. It's going to be a bit of an adventure. I think for the average person, when you get those wheels put on and run the screw in, and like they're not going anywhere, you're probably not going to want to take it apart very often. I don't know. You tell me. Is that a huge issue? To me, it's not a huge issue. It's an annoying issue. What else? I mean, I don't really have anything bad to say about this except what I've highlighted, guys, and that's pretty minor. I really didn't have any trouble putting this together. And dollar for dollar, I don't know if there's a better value out there, guys. This is such a nice kit. So much fun to build, guys. It's very pleased, guys. I enjoyed this immensely, and you know, now I got to do a little bit more painting and stuff, as I mentioned. Gonna weather the body a little bit more. Put a few more touches on this. I definitely think I'm going to run it as a convertible, guys. I haven't totally decided yet. I think the cabin on this, my one knock, and it's not a real criticism, guys. Just the cabin looks really big and chunky on this little car, guys. It just looks kind of oversized for the chassis almost, and that is what it is, guys. These are kind of goofy looking vehicles, right? But what I think is, without this top, like you put the top on, it looks a lot more bulky. You take the top off, to me it looks a lot better. And then I think what I'm going to do is cut off the L part here of the door, so it gives it a more of a convertible look. Take the back of the cabin here, cut this off, trim it along here, guys. Right? And that'll finish up that back section a little bit, give it a little bit more realistic look. I don't know, haven't 100% decided yet, but that's kind of what I'm leaning towards right now, guys. And then the doors don't latch perfectly, as you can see. Like there's a bit of a gap there, right? I'm just gonna glue that. I think I'm gonna set the doors so they don't open, or you know, maybe hot glue that comes off quite easily, and then it'll look really nice when it's just driving around. I don't know, I'm torn. We'll have to see. I'll have to see if I can figure out an easy way to deal with that, because these definitely... The other thing that's possible is warm it up a little bit, put a little bend in there so they actually sit closer to where they're supposed to be. But that's always a bit of an adventure, because you put too much heat in and things get wrecked pretty easy. So, yeah, we'll see. Play around with it a little bit. To me, a dab of glue will probably fix that just nice, right? But what else was I thinking? Oh, the other thing I was thinking about doing, guys, and I kind of lazied out, to be honest with you. The other thing I was thinking about doing was making curved American truck style fenders for this. So a swoopy fender, instead of square cut like this, curved, 3D print it, cut these off, glue those on. That would look pretty slick if you ask me, guys. I still might do that. I don't know. I might buy another one and do that to it, or do that to this one at some point, guys. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I kind of lazied out, guys. Making the fenders is not that difficult, and I don't know. I think it would look pretty cool. It's all you got to do is grind along the inside here. Grind. Thin this plastic up real carefully. Doesn't take very long, and then run a utility knife right along the joint there, and these fenders come right off, guys. So thinking about doing that. Lights, I'm torn. I guess I probably should put the LEDs in here. I don't know. I'm also thinking I might order that WPL radio and receiver, guys, because it comes with the sound effects and the light controls and everything. I thought that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. I'm torn. It's we'll see. We'll see. I thought it would be useful for down the road. At some point, a guy's got to get rid of some of the stuff you're accumulating. So probably not this one, but one of the Toyota trucks, the Toyota style trucks. I probably put it in there, and that way you could sell it with sound effects and lights and the whole schmozzle, right? And, that's more appealing to a lot of people. So yeah, we'll see. Anyways, there you go. So my overall rating on this, guy, is very similar to everybody else. It's an awesome kit, guys. Super fun to build. The quality is quite good. Really good for the money, guys. So overall, I mean, you got to take some marks off for quality. I would probably rate it about a 7 out of 10 because, you know, the quality issues are not super numerous, but like that panhard mount that's a little dodgy. That's a legit problem, guys. The wheel's not fitting. That's a legit problem. You know, minor criticisms, guys. In the vast scheme of things, not that big of a deal, but definitely, I don't know, I guess a B. What's a B? 70 to 80%? Yeah, about a 7, 8 out of 10. Now, the running gear, the chassis, guys. The chassis, I give closer to like a 9 out of 10. It's really good, guys. This chassis is legit. I mean, I'm kind of surprised they haven't come out with another version of this with a different body on it, because the chassis is so good. It's definitely solid. Literally, that panhard bar is the only that panhard bar mount's the only real criticism on the chassis, guys. The wheels, that's I mean, that's an accessory, guys. Like, that's just a small thing they need to tweak there. The 2-speed transmission, the metal links, really good, guys. So I mean, I give this chassis like a 9 out of 10, guys. It's really good. It could be, you know, a little bit better geometry wise and whatnot. That's a really small criticism, guys. Really small criticism. So high marks for the chassis. It's excellent. Overall drivability and whatnot, guys, is really good. This is impressive. The articulation isn't the greatest, but this is more of a trail truck, more of a scale type vehicle. I mean, it's got the look of a full-on crawler, but you know, that's kind of a different setup, guys. Oh, the shocks are a little lackluster, guys. These are still the spring inside shocks, but for this rig, guys, it's pretty good. I mean, you know, it really doesn't work bad, so that's a small criticism. Yeah, so I mean, the chassis I rate very high. Overall, fun factor, because I love a kit, guys, I give this top marks, 10 out of 10. Really, really fun. Some small frustrations for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, a total noob, for whom perhaps the do-it-yourself isn't the most fun in the world. You got to knock off a couple of marks probably, but I mean, your worst case scenario with this truck, guys, is that you got a shelf queen that looks really, really good. So I have a hard time knocking it down more than a point, guys. I mean, to me, this is a solid 8 out of 10 overall, because the value is so good. I'd probably be more inclined to bump it up to a 9, because it's just really good, guys. It's such a nice kit to work on. It's I don't know. I guess it comes down to, if you're a noob, the degree of difficulty on this is not super high, but it's not nothing. You know, there are aspects of it that you need to have some patience. You need to have a little bit of motivation to figure things out if you're not, if you don't have the experience. So that's probably, I don't know if that's a criticism or a caution. I guess it's a caution. Overall, it's really good. Really, really good, guys. Super, super fun to build. So So yeah, I mean, I give it a solid 8 to a 9, guys. It's really, really good. You know, the criticisms are legit, but pretty small. So thanks for tuning in. That's the big overview. Stay tuned. I will follow up as I do more finishing on the body of this bad boy, and I'll show you some running video. But there's lots of running video on these out there, guys. The only difference you'll see on mine is that the low speed crawling control is really, really good because I'm running that legit crawler servo or crawler speed controller, guys. I cannot overstate, guys. If you want your car to drive really, really well, get yourself a Hobbywing 1060 or something similar. This is something similar. This is the speed controller out of a Kyosho Phaser Mark II, and it works fine. It's not the greatest speed controller ever made. I definitely wouldn't recommend buying one. If you need a speed controller, get the Hobbywing 1030 or the Hobbywing 1060. The 60 will give you a little more headroom if you want to put it into a bigger crawler at some point. I believe it fits. Mine is in a crawler right now, so I can't check super easily. But basically, the way I had my electronics in this when I was driving it around, I just kind of propped it in here, and then once you slide the chassis into place, it actually holds the speed controller in there quite nicely. I put the receiver over here. I just kind of carefully held the wires in place and dropped the chassis in I literally had this on my lap and I dropped the chassis into place. It worked really well, guys. It wasn't particularly difficult. That seems to be what most people are doing. So yeah, if you want really good crawling, definitely go with one of these guys. If you don't really care, you just want to drive it a little bit, guys, those super cheap little ESC on a board, guys. Trying to think if I have one handy. I think I might. Yeah, there we go. These guys. If you don't care about performance too much, guys, these are pretty cheap. Last time I looked, they were a little overpriced, guys. They were like 15 bucks Canadian, which to me is too much money. But for around 10 bucks, 12 bucks, definitely those aren't a bad way to go. The big thing is if they start getting more pricey, you can get into a better quality ESC for not much more money, guys. And then I would totally recommend spending the extra money and getting a better one. You know, something that's actually that's got a little more substance to it, like a Hobbywing 1030 or something like that, guys. So there you go. That's it, guys. That is it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Wrench to Drive, where we ask the eternal question: do you drive to wrench, or do you wrench to drive?